since we used so many lemons in this menu, just the zest, we thought it would be nice to put a little something together using the juice. So we're gonna make a lemon curd to serve alongside of our angel food cake. So it's a really delicious, very bright sauce to go with our cake. So before we try to make it, we wanna make sure that we have everything ready. This is what we call mise en place, meaning everything in place, ready for the recipe. So just to kind of show you what we have ready, we have a pot with just an inch or so of water at the bottom, and it's already up to a nice simmer because we're going to cook this recipe using steam as opposed to direct heat. I have my eggs, and we didn't take them out of the refrigerator too early, so we want them to be at more room temperature. So I just put them in a little bowl of some warm water to help them come up to temperature a little bit easier. I already measured out my sugar, and I have some more lemon zest in my bowl with a whisk. Make sure we have something to whisk that with. And then I have an ice bath prepared. So it's just a larger bowl, a little bit larger than the bowl that we're going to use to make the curd. Just put a little bit of ice water on there because when we take the bowl off of the heat, we want to make sure and stop the cooking process pretty quickly, or else we can start to curdle our eggs. And then I have a measuring cup to not only measure my lemon juice, but also to be able to squeeze it into, and then I have just a little mesh strainer right on top to catch any seeds. That way we don't wind up with it in our finished juice. And of course I have my citrus reamer to juice the lemons. Okay, so let's start with our eggs. One smack on a flat surface, push in with the sides of our finger and pull out. Okay, if we wind up with a little bit of shell in there, which I just did, that's okay, don't worry about it. Use another piece of the shell to pick up that little rogue piece of shell, and it attracts the other piece of shell. All right, so our 3 eggs in there. And then we're just going to use our whisk to whisk vigorously. All right, so we're not whisking very gently. We're going to get in there. We're going to go back and forth with our whisk, and then get in there, and we're going to whisk like a madman. We really have to use some elbow grease here because we're trying to incorporate a little bit of air into our curd before we get that onto our stovetop and start cooking the egg. So when we juice our lemons, we want to think of the lemon like the earth, North Pole, South Pole. We're going to cut in half across the equator. That exposes all of the segments inside so you can juice it a lot easier. I'm going to use my citrus reamer, put it in cup side up first, squeeze. And again, I squeeze over that little mesh strainer to catch any seeds or any pulp. And then I flip it over and get the remainder out the other way. Some of these reamers are not super sturdy, so if you put them in upside down, we've actually seen people break them in class because they had to use so much force. All right, so I have my eggs and my sugar, and we whisked them vigorously until they turned almost a lemon yellow in color. So now I'm going to add my juice to that mixture, and I'm going to add some butter, just about 3 tablespoons of butter, and then I'm going to set my bowl on top of the simmering water bath, and I'm going to let that thicken. So I set my bowl on top of my pot of simmering water, so you don't have to have a fancy pan, have a double boiler. You just get a larger pot, put a little bit of water at the bottom, and then set a heat-proof bowl on top of there. Make sure it's either glass or metal. We don't want to set a plastic bowl on top. And that way we're cooking with steam as opposed to direct heat. So it's much more gentle heat that you're using. And I'm just going to continue to whisk and make sure that we whisk around the sides of the bowl, because sometimes the eggs can deposit up on the sides of the bowl and then they can start to curdle there. So you got to keep it moving. However, it happens pretty quickly. So once your curd looks to be about the consistency of a pudding, okay, we're going to take that off of the heat and set the bowl in your ice bath to stop the cooking process. After your curd has come off of the heat and it's cool enough to the point where you know it's not going to curdle anymore, then we need to season it. So we're going to add a nice good splash of vanilla bean paste. If you don't have the paste, that's okay, just use vanilla extract. And then a nice hefty pinch of kosher salt. People are afraid of putting salt in their sweets. What it does is, first of all, to enhance the flavor of everything, but also, since this sauce is very, very tart, we need something to balance that down. We already added sugar, which can help balance out acidity, but salt can also help to do that. So we always want to taste again. Still pretty tart. So one more good pinch of salt. Make sure it tastes delicious. And it doesn't have to just be lemon. You can use limes here. You can use orange. You can use grapefruit. You can use any other kind of fruit juice as well. And once you learn how to make the sauce, it can be very versatile. You can use it in a lot of different ways. Perfect. That's going to go great with that angel food cake.